start Dear guests, welcome to TEDxTsaghkunk. Սիրելի հյուրեր, բարի գալուստ TEDxTsaghkunk. It is a pleasure to meet you all here, to greet you here at the first TEDx event organized in this highlands of Armenia, in this rural environment where tradition meets innovation, where spirituality meets technology, and where ideas worth sharing are born. I'm Seda Grigorian, a documentary filmmaker, and I have the honor to guide you through today's TEDxTsaghkunk event and through our journey to bring back the future. Before getting to the speeches, I'd like to do some housekeeping. So first of all, the talks will be in English, Armenian, and Russian. So if you need translation, make sure you have translation devices. If you feel a bit chill or cold, there will be blankets available. You can notice our volunteers in white t-shirts, so just call them and ask them whatever you need. Սիրելի հյուրեր, միջոցառումը անցեկացվելու անգլերեն, ելույթները հիմնականում կլինեն անգլերեն, նաև հայերեն եւ ռուսերեն, հետեւաբար եթե թարգմանության կարիք կա, խնդրում ենք հիմա ձեռք բերել թարգմանչական սարքերը, որպեսզի հետո իրարանցում չլինի, եւ եթե հանկարծ մրսեք կամ մի քիչ շատ զով լինի մեր այս միջնադարյան պայմաններում, կարող եք դիմել մեր կամավորներին, ձեզ կտրամադրեն տաք վերմակներ եւ վստահ եմ մենք ընդհանուր ջերմ մթնոլորտում կանցկացնենք այս օրը, այս շատ կարեւոր եւ հատուկ օրը. By the way, the event is also being live streamed, so I'd like to send my greetings to our audiences online, and please share, tweet, make sure the hashtag TEDxTsaghkunk is out there, and make sure that there are wider audiences joining us on this important journey today. So, this venue, isn't it special? It is a majestic, yet a very modest venue, St. Hartune Church. It was built 200 years ago by the locals who came back here to their roots after 200 years of forced deportation. So imagine the excitement, the passion of these young Armenians who came back to where their ancestors lived once, where their ancestors created, dreamed, cherished their future for their generations. And then after an interrupted period, the younger generation is back here, and imagine how passionate they were when they would put stone upon a stone to build these walls, to build this church, imagining how they create their new nest in the land of the ancestors, how they continue creating the beautiful future for their upcoming generations. Imagine the prayers that have been whispered in this church for a brighter, better future. And here we are. Here we are in this new age of innovation, of technology, and of bright minds getting together to share their ideas. This is a common story, not only typical to Armenians, when you always constantly struggle to have your nest, create your nest, and then at some point you have to leave and then come back and then continue and fight for the continuation of your identity and your tradition. Right now, as I speak, only a few hundred kilometers away, another scene and episode of survival is taking place, if I may say so. 120,000 of our compatriots in Artsakh or Nagorno-Karabakh are trapped in a blockade. And this is the time when you feel like you really don't want to be living in these pages of history books. You feel like you live through an episode you've been reading all your life about, and this is something that you would love to live in the past. And there should be a way to leave all of this in the past and to create the future we have all been dreaming about. And this is exactly why we are here. There should be a way out. And to begin to find the way out, we need, first of all, to open up to new ideas, to bright ideas, to be able to look at the realities we live in from a different angle. And here we are, together, with bright minds from around the world who will help us through this journey. If you look at the packages on your chairs, you will find small keys. Please hold on to those keys tightly throughout this journey. And if you hold them up, you will see that a part of it resembles the letter F, which stands for future, but it also stands for the fascinating speakers that we have today with us. And thank you for crossing all the long distances to be with us today. Before getting to the actual talks, I would like to also thank our important sponsors, without whom this event wouldn't be possible. First of all, I'd like to thank DAR Foundation for Regional Development and Competitiveness and Gagarin Project for hosting Thank you for hosting everyone here in this beautiful area where the foundation is implementing a major regional development program. I would also like to thank our other sponsors, namely ANIF Foundation for Development and Support of Armenian Studies, Askion, a global leader in the medical technology and optical sensor solutions, and LVL Technologies, leading the way in shaping the future of research and discovery. So, thank you. Also, the Tsaghkunk restaurant, which is kindly sharing their unique cuisine with our guests. So, without further ado, we will get to our important TEDx talks today. And our first talk and our first speaker is going to take us on a very transformative journey, but not too far, actually very close, into our minds. He will give us food for thought on how do we as human beings stop damaging this constant natural flow of life, and how do we become part of this everlasting circulation of life and beauty around us. Mr. Christopher Holtz is a computer scientist, an expert of digitalization, and he is someone actually who can really tell you this is not rocket science when he's explaining something simple to you, because he also has a background of a rocket scientist, a real one. And aside from that, he is more known among his professional circles as an outstanding keynote speaker. So it is our honor to have you as our opening speaker today, Mr. Holtz. Please come to take the stage.
Are you fine? Alexander von Humboldt, the great German explorer, he actually inspired Charles Darwin to go on the Beagle, which the outcome was the evolutionary theory. Alexander von Humboldt, he taught us that in nature everything is connected. The water evaporates at the oceans, rains down on the mountains, and flows back into the sea. Don't get me wrong, water on this planet is finite. But nature shows us how to make infinite use of a finite resource. Why don't we? Tsaghkunk, actually, where we are today, stands for blossoming. That's what nature does. Nature is the infinite production and the infinite consumption without waste. Why don't we do that? You might ask me, how should we do that? Now, conventional industrial production, additive production, subtractive production, milling as you know it, or maybe 3D printing, that has no future. We have to digitize our materials. Who knows Lego pieces, Lego bricks? Most of us played with them when we were small. And these Lego bricks, actually, you can build houses with a higher precision than any industrial milling machine could ever do. The robots, they all have a little place to move. They cannot be as precise as Lego bricks. But there is one more thing about it. You never throw them away. Why? Because how to recycle Lego bricks, this information is ingrained into the material itself. Every child can take a house and recycle it, because you exactly know where you have to break them up. That's why you never throw Lego away. That's the future of production. And nothing is ever lost, except maybe these small pieces my children leave on my way to the toilet at night when there is no light, which sometimes is a little painful, but it's for a good reason. So everything is here forever. Remember Julius Caesar, last famous words, "You too, my son Brutus." When he exhaled his last breath, these were billions of air molecules. And these molecules are still here. Right now, in this room. How many do you think of these billions of molecules? It's 10. 10 of them still remain. Isn't that amazing? Maybe even a CO2 molecule is among them. CO2 is such a rich and important resource, not only for nature. We use CO2 to postpone the next ice age for tens of thousands of years. If anyone ever tells me global warming is not man-made, I have to tell them you underestimate our capacity. You underestimate what humanity can do. Actually, 500,000 years ago in Africa, when our ancestors, they did not leave the trees. That's wrong. The trees left us. Climate change. They were just going away because the subcontinent of India created the Himalayas, and that would would create Sahara, and we'd have to leave our trees, or the trees left us. So the recent climate change is not the first one, and it won't be the last. Actually, climate change is that what made humanity. Humanity is, the speciality of us is to overcome climate change. That's what made us. And really, all the CO2 molecules we are saving right now, and maybe even storing, they will come in handy. Because the next ice age is coming, I can tell you that for sure. And then we are going to need to heat up the Earth again. So we showed that we have the capacity to manage the climate. Wouldn't it be immoral not to manage the climate of our planet for a better world? Now, nature, as we can see it outside, agriculture, this Gagarin Valley is an agricultural valley. Farming has a dark secret. If you depend on the yield of your land, you have to fight for it until the end. Because if you don't fight, you will die anyway, starving. This organization of violence, that's what we call war. And its organizational form we call state. Nation state is not only a violent idea, it might be one of the most dangerous ideas that ideology ever came up. But what's the antidote to war? I mean, right now, over the Armenian mountains, in the Black Gardens, there is a silent genocide happening right now. What could be the antidote? It's prosperity. Widespread prosperity ruins the value for money of war. If you have so much to lose, who would go to war? If you have everything that you could have, why would you go to war anymore? So war is not the absence of peace. War is the absence of growth. How could we achieve this? We only have this one planet. We only work together on this one planet. And actually, we are all the same, aren't we? Now, Alexander von Humboldt had a brother, Wilhelm. And his brother, less known but more influential, he created the humanistic education system in Prussia, which was the blueprint for education all over the world. Humanistic education. And what he taught us is that a finite resource of letters. There are 26 letters in the Roman alphabet. I learned here in Armenia there are 39 letters, right, in the Armenian alphabet. A finite resource. But we use this resource infinitely. We create poems, we create ideas, we create innovation. And this is literally countable infinity. Our mind is able to create an infinite number of solutions. Literally. We are standing now at the beginning of infinity. So, why on earth would we cancel the apocalypse? Because we can. Let's do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holtz. This was very thought-provoking and inspirational. Thank you. And wow, did you manage to breathe in one of those 10 atoms? So from Julius Caesar's last breath? I think I managed. So with this fresh or ancient breath from Mr. Holtz's talk, I'd like to move on to our next speaker, because as Mr. Holtz allowed us to fill in our lungs with some ancient wisdom, our next speaker will take us on a journey to be able to listen to what is coming from the ancestors, from the ancient times, to be able to listen to the whispers of our ancestors. Ms. Sahar Al-Bazar is a member of the Egyptian House of Representatives and an inspirational role model, especially for young women. And she empowers youth and women, not only in Egypt, but also in Kenya, in Somalia. And she's addressing with her work women's empowerment, education, vocational training, youth employment, and healthcare. So please come up to the stage and share your inspiration. Thank you.
Today I'm going to share with you a story. Since I was a kid, I was dreaming with a quality education. That's all I wanted, quality education. And then, once I graduated from college, I started to apply for master's degrees in European universities. And from the first year, I got accepted from all the universities, and I got rejected from all the scholarships. And then I started hearing voices around me from families, friends, community, asking me, why do you want to have a master's degree? You're not a man. A man needs a master's degree so he can have a better job, so he can provide his family. But you're not. So I thought to myself, Do I have to be a man so I can have the access to quality education? So I ignored this voice. And I applied in the second year. And then I got accepted to the universities. I got rejected from some scholarships, and I never heard from others. Then voices started to ask me again, girls in your age are looking for husbands. They are not looking for scholarships. Why are you doing that? So I started to think again. I can meet a husband while applying for a master's, while studying the master's, while I am working in a job. So I ignored this voice, and I applied in the third year. I got accepted in the universities, I got rejected from some scholarships, and I never heard from the rest. And then the voices started to get stronger. They told me, can't you see? It's a sign from a God. God is telling you it's not your path. Look for another direction. So I thought in my mind, did God speak to them about me? So I ignored that voice. And for the fourth year, I applied again. And I got accepted in the universities. I got rejected from some scholarships, and I never heard from the rest. And the voices became stronger and stronger. Now you are being crazy. You need to give up. You're wasting your energy, your time, your effort. Just do something useful with your time. So I thought to myself, again, this is my future, my decision. I say when I should give up, not someone else. So on the fifth year, I found a brilliant program at Harvard, and they have scholarships. So I applied to Harvard, and guess what? I got rejected. I got rejected from Harvard, but no hard feelings, it's Harvard. It's fine. Do you think that would stop me after 5 years? I went ahead. I met a lot of alumni who graduated from a similar program, and I learned about the admission process, the application process. And on the 6th year, I applied again, and I got an email from Harvard, and it was the email. I got in with a full scholarship. Yes. 6 years. Now, let me take you on a layer that is deeper from this story. Why was I persistent to get quality education? Why these voices were resisting me to get this quality education? So after reflecting, I realized that my late grandma, she gave up her dreams of education and got married in a very early age. But she raised her 7 kids with the importance of education. But that was 2 generations behind me. It's not relevant to me. And this is the key message. Our ancestors are inside us, in our DNA. Their wisdom, experiences, their traumas, their struggles, their wins, their losses, it's all in us. They can speak to us. So I was driven by her voice to fight for my right for quality education. But the other voices were also driven by their ancestors' voices that have a specific limited role for a woman. And that's the important thing. We need to look back to our ancestors with respect, with love, with appreciation for their journey, for their wisdom, and let's take from them what serves us the best to our future. And let's keep the rest with respect, because it doesn't serve us well in our present time and future. In conclusion, I invite you all to look back to the past with a fresh eye and just be a good ancestor for yourself. Thank you.
Bravo, Sahar. Wow, this was very inspirational. 6 years. Wow. We have so many volunteers here, and this should be a very inspirational talk for you to never give up. You're on your way to your dream education, to your dream paths. So remember, Sahar, every time you apply somewhere, or even if you get rejected. That happens. Thank you so much. Of course, it is so important to also understand all sorts of influences of the environment we grow up in, the ancestral wisdom and trauma, as the previous speaker said. And looking back at the environments where we grew up, we can definitely understand some of the flaws that we have as well. So our next speaker, a visionary thinker, a filmmaker, and the initiator of Gagarin project, Mr. Arsen Aghajenyan. He will take us to this thoughtful journey on the environment we grow up and we let other kids grow up in. Please.
Thank you. A couple of months ago, my colleague with whom we are currently working on our wonderful project brought an email that I can have speech at TEDx. She wrote it with such an aspiration, as if she had bought me my bicycle from my childhood, which I sometimes see in my dreams. I felt ashamed that I didn't know at all what TEDx was. So I got on the internet and began to listen to speakers. After watching the seventh speaker, I realized the most important thing. They all were speaking English. At that moment, not only did I not know what TEDx was, but I didn't speak English. And I realized to learn it. I was recommended one wonderful tutor who turned out to be physicist mathematician and began to teach me all sorts of formulas and schemes. Unfortunately, my English here is finished. I will continue another language which is more comfortable for me. Sorry. Так вот, мой трехколесный велосипед. Через 25 лет после того, как мы закончили школу, мы собрались вместе со своими одноклассниками, и одна из них рассказывала мне о моей темно-синей лошадке с белой отметиной на лбу, восхитительной, как весь этот белый свет, на которой я скакал по нашим горным неровностям, наполненным изумительными цветами, изумительной красоты. И, конечно же, за нами бегала большая лохматая добрая собака. Когда она это рассказывала, все мои одноклассники мечтательно поддакивали. Они рассказывали мне о том, что не могли дождаться на уроках перемен, чтобы выскочить на перемену, садиться рядом со мной и слушать мои рассказы. Правдой была лошадка. Но эта лошадка была деревянная, на такой палке деревянной от гривы, на которой я, конечно же, скакал, но по моей маленькой квартирке. Когда моя нынешняя нефантазийная душа заставила мне признаться и рассказать моим одноклассникам правду, было ощущение, что я украл у них детство. В одном из моих рассказов я писал о том, что на протяжении жизни человека в него вселяется несколько душ, а не наоборот, как учат нас некоторые религии. Иначе как мы можем объяснить то обстоятельство, я прошу прощения, здесь у нас есть что-то? Вот по этим горным неровностям. Иначе как можно объяснить то обстоятельство, когда мы, вырастая, забываем про наши детские радости, которыми мы себя забавляем в детстве, пока нас не прерывают эти самые взрослые, те самые взрослые из нашего детства. Помните этих взрослых? Никого они вам не напоминают? Я бы хотел попросить вас поднять руки тех, кто сооружал вот такие маленькие домики в детстве. А кого из вас силой вытягивали оттуда за ноги? Мы в детстве очень любили маленькие домики, и этими маленькими домиками ограждали себя от больших неуютных домов. И чтобы хоть чуть-чуть понять, какие ароматы и вкусы, какие мелодии и краски формируют эмоции и мечты наших детей, нам бы неплохо самим постучаться, иногда стучаться в наше детство. Винни Мас, который соучредитель архитектурного бюро MVRDV, на мой взгляд, больше философ, чем архитектор. По его проекту реконструировали школу, в которой он учился. Мне кажется, что он таким образом отомстил своей школе. Его можно назвать дискохабом на космическом корабле. Можно назвать большой тропой, широкой тропой, ведущей к любимой девушке. Избегатором от всего того, чего тебе не хочется делать. Но только не школой. Мне кажется, что он чаще, чем другие, гостит в своем детстве. И мне было безумно интересно, какое детство превратило из него в такого взрослого. И он рассказывал мне про свою бабушку, про ее маленький домик синего цвета, всегда открытой дверью, из которой была слышна громкая всегда музыка. Мы с ним подолгу уходили по нашим этим горам, долго рассуждали о нашем проекте и о очень маленьких формах. И в день, когда он должен был улететь, утром мы пили фруктовую водку. Я поднял тост за то, чтобы Винни построил у нас свое самое когда-либо высокое здание, которое когда-либо он строил. Мой тост вызвал у него оторопь. Ведь мы говорили совершенно об обратном все эти дни. Но я поспешил его успокоить и напомнил ему, что мы находимся на высоте 1800 метров, и ему нужно построить всего лишь еще 3 метра, чтобы мой тост сбылся. Вот. Это потом. Я решил покопаться в собственных ритмах и среде моего прошлого, та среда и ритмы, которые сформировали меня, мою взрослость. И я был уверен, что самая вкусная жареная картошка – это та, которую жарит моя бабушка. Обязательно в черной обугленной сковороде, крупными кусочками и обязательно наполовину недожаренная. Она просто была ленивая, моя бабушка. Я до сих пор хожу к моей маме на пирожки через 2 дня после того, как она их пожарит. Дело в том, что наша школа была самой дальней в поселке, где я родился, вырос, и туда привозили те продукты, которые не продавались в других школах. Вот почему мне до сих пор нравятся пирожки 2-дневной давности. я не хочу с вами делиться теми чужеродными мелизмами и мелодиями, которые формировали мой музыкальный вкус. Это не совсем будет правильно, потому что я сейчас люблю другую музыку, я работаю над собой. Когда мы приняли решение, наверняка вы уже видели здесь, что перестанем топить наши дома вот этими симпатичными брикетами из коровьего навоза, я понял, что этим я лишаю себя запаха детства. Получилось так, что не все замечательное из нашего детства замечательно на самом деле. И когда моя супруга доверила мне моего младшего сына на 3 дня, я сразу же принялся прививать ему правильные вкусы и правильные ритмы. Мы с ним слушали Комитаса и Шопена, просмотрели практически всего детского Чарли Чаплина. Он кушал, обедал, питался этими злаками, кашами из злаков, которые растут у нас в горах, а в школу брал с собой сухофрукты и печенюшки без сахара, совершенно органические, и которые мы придумали в нашем проекте. Но самое главное, мы с моим сыном не спешили. Мы все эти дни не спешили, потому что я помнил, как моя бабушка мое питание превращала в чемпионат мира по объемам и скоростям. Она все время мне вторила: вот если ты не доешь эту тарелку и не вычистишь ее до дна, до конца, начисто за 10 секунд, то когда ты вырастешь, у тебя жена будет некрасивой. У меня потрясающе красивая жена, но от этой детской порочной привычки не только вычищать тарелку, но и вычищать весь стол я до сих пор не могу освободиться, вы видите. Поэтому прошу, чтобы меня снимали не сбоку. Каждое утро, когда я хожу на работу, мне приходится пересекать широкую улицу, которая, зеленый светофор которой горит всего 14 секунд. И если ты не обладаешь навыками спортивной ходьбы, то ты рискуешь попасть под машину. Так вот, когда я выхожу из дома, вот тот светофор определяет мой темпоритм на весь этот путь и на весь этот день. Я даже, можно сказать, ложусь спать в ужасе от предстоящего темпоритма, который меня ожидает. И мне кажется, что наши бабушки с этим светофорщиком, бабушки светофорщика дружили вместе. Темп, с которым рождаются, ритм, с которым рождаются наши дети, он фантастический. И этот ритм мог бы превратить нашу эру потребителей, поглотителей, я бы сказал, мог бы превратить в эру творцов, в эру созидателей. И мы должны сделать все то, чтобы дети, вырастая, были бы в гармонии с этим ритмом. Нам кажется, что мы их прививаем им пунктуальность, последовательность, ответственность, но мы только прививаем им суету и еще много порочных вещей, одним словом. Ведь мир, который нас окружает, он трехмерен. И в этой трехмерности нет жадного поглощения, нет конкуренции, нет вот этих бесстыдств, которые творятся вокруг нас, и нет бега за временем. Так, ведь самое ценное и стоящее по истории создавалось не спеша. Вы представьте себе на миг вот того китайца, который заложил первый камень в Великую Китайскую стену. Вы представляете, если бы он перед тем, как это сделать, обратился бы в Pricewaterhouse или в KPMG, чтобы те ему насчитали экономический эффект от бизнес-проекта длиной в 2500 лет. Огюст Роден ваял свои врата ада 37 лет и так и не доваял его. Там он получил государственный заказ, и там что-то было про про божественную комедию Данте. В наше время Огюст Роден был бы в бегах или сидел в тюрьме, потому что там в тендерной документации была бы графа «изваять эти адские ворота к 615-летию Данте». То есть изваять и закончить в тот же год, в который он начинал. Либо он сидел в тюрьме, либо это были бы быстро возводимые ворота, о которых бы наверняка мы с вами не знали бы. Он, как и замечательная наша Цаат, он не спешил, этот скульптор. Он поступал в художественную академию 3 года подряд. Он плохо учился в школе. По той простой причине, что у его папы не было времени навязывать ему тайминг. Вы знаете, я думаю, что мы лукавим, иногда даже лжем, когда говорим, что все делаем ради наших детей. Это не так. В фильме «Надин Лабаки» «Капернаум» ребенок подает в суд на своих родителей за то, что они его родили. Жестокий фильм. Я люблю добрые фильмы, смешные. Но это кино буду просить вас посмотреть. Кстати, потому что нам всем, безвозвратно повзрослевшим, нужно очень трепетно относиться к тому мироощущению и мировосприятию, с которыми рождаются наши дети, и перестать их заставлять следовать нашим деформированным желаниям. И тогда, может быть, вот весь мир наполнится вот этими маленькими домиками с видом на небо, и наши деревянные лошадки превратятся в темно-синих с белым отметиной на лбу, восхитительный, как весь белый свет. Спасибо.
Bravo. Bravo, Mr. Agharjanyan. Thank you so much for taking us to our childhood and back with so much emotion. Thank you so much. It's difficult to continue with such an emotional talk. But believe me, you are going to get inspired and motivated with the next speaker as well. Even though she is our youngest speaker, just from the neighboring village, the Tmashen. And believe me, Janna Mkhitaryan, in her only yet 17 years, has a story to inspire, to motivate, and to maybe one day turn into a good movie, an inspiring movie. And let's dive into that with Janna. Please, warm welcome for her.
Բարև ձեզ։ Այսքան հեղինակավոր մարդկանց շարքում ինձ տեսնելիս վստահ եմ ձեզ մոտ հարց կառաջանա, թե ինչ եմ անում ես այստեղ։ Բայց այսօր ես ձեզ հետ կկիսվեմ իմ երազանքների ու նպատակների մասին եւ ամենակարևորը դրանց ճանապարհին չհանձնվելու մասին։ Եվ կարծում եմ, որ իմ օրինակը մոտիվացիա կփոխանցի բոլոր նրանց, ովքեր իրենց երազանքի ճանապարհին են։ Երբ ավելի փոքր էի, երազում էի դառնալ մանկական ատամնաբույժ, քանի որ շատ էի սիրում երեխաներին եւ այդ գործը։ Հստակ որոշել էի, որ պետք է այդպես լինի։ Ունեմ եւս մեկ նպատակ՝ ծառայել հայրենիքիս։ Այս երազանքս միշտ եղել է եւ փորձել եմ տարբեր ճանապարհներով իրականացնել այն։ Ատամնաբուժական կրթությունս այդպես էլ դեռ չեմ ստացել, բայց հիմա սովորում եմ ռազմահայրենասիրական դպրոցում։ Եվ կարծում եմ, որ յուրաքանչյուրս պետք է ունենանք որոշակի պատրաստվածություն հայրենիքին ծառայելու համար։ Դրա հետ մեկտեղ քաջ գիտակցում եմ, որ երկրիս արժանի զավակը լինել նշանակում է դրական փոփոխություններ բերել, նպաստել տարբեր ոլորտների զարգացմանը։ Դեռ մանկուց չեմ սիրել, որ տարբերություն են դնում տղաների եւ աղջիկների միջև։ Միշտ ինքս փորձել եմ կոտրել այդ կարծրատիպը։ Երբ եղբայրս Վիգենը մի բան էր անում, միշտ փորձում էի կրկնօրինակել։ Եվ այդպես եղբորս օրինակով սկսեցի հաճախել ֆուտբոլի։ Սկզբում ընտանիքիս կողմից այն դիտվեց որպես հերթական կրկնօրինակում, բայց երբ Սևանի մարզիչը զանգահարեց հայրիկիս, ասաց, որ մասնակցում ենք առաջնությանը եւ խնդրեց, որպեսզի թույլ տա, որ ես էլ մասնակցեմ, հայրս համաձայնվեց։ Ես շատ ուրախացա եւ իմ առաջ նպատակ դրեցի, որ պետք է բոլորին ապացուցեմ, որ աղջիկները եւս կարող են ցանկացած սպորտաձևի մեջ գրանցել հաջողություններ, տղաներին հավասար։ Եվ այդտեղից ծնողներս սկսեցին ավելի լուրջ վերաբերվել իմ սպորտային հետաքրքրությանը։ Ճիշտ է, շրջապատումս դպրոցում ընկերներս սկզբից կասկածանքով էին վերաբերվում այդ ամենին, բայց անկախ ամեն ինչից ես սկզբունք էի որդեգրել, որ ոչ մի խաղ առանց հաղթանակ։ Եվ կուզեմ ձեզ հետ կիսվել մեկ դրվագով, մի անգամ խաղի էինք Էջմիածնի դաշտում Նոայի հետ։ Առաջի խաղակեսը խաղալուց հետո մրցավարները եւ բժիշկները թույլ չտվեցին, որպեսզի շարունակեմ երկրորդ խաղակեսը, որովհետեւ ունեի վնասվածք։ Երկրորդ խաղակեսին խաղադաշտից դուրս հետևում էի թիմի խաղին, բայց լինելով թիմի ավագ չէի կարող այդ դժվար իրավիճակում թիմին թողնել մենակ, որովհետև հակառակորդը խփել էր 2 գոլ, իսկ ժամանակը քիչ էր մնացել, ես պետք է օգնեի իմ թիմին։ Իմ ու մարզիչիս համար պայքարով ես շարունակեցի իմ խաղը։ Խաղին մնացել էր ընդամենը 2 րոպե, եւ ես հասցրեցի այդ 2 րոպեների ընթացքում խփել 2 գոլ, եւ հաշիվը հավասարվեց։ Ճիշտ է, ոչ ոքի, բայց համենայն դեպս մենք չպարտվեցինք։ Եվ այդ օրվանից բոլորը սկսեցին թե շրջապատում, թե ընկերներս դպրոցում ավելի լուրջ վերաբերվել։ Ու բոլորը դարձան իմ երկրպագուները, հետևում էին մեր թիմային հաջողություններին։ Սպասում էին, թե երբ է լինելու իմ հաջորդ խաղը, որ ես նորից գամ, ասեմ գոլ եմ խփել ու այդպես ուրախանանք։ Եվ այստեղից էլ սկսվեց իմ ֆուտբոլային կարիերան։ Սևանի թիմը, որտեղ ես սկսել էի իմ առաջին քայլերը, այդ թիմի հետ հերթական հաղթանակից հետո ինձ հրավիրեցին Հայաստանի ֆուտբոլի ֆեդերացիա։ Ֆեդերացիայում պարապմունքների ժամանակ ինձ նկատեց Ուրարտու ֆուտբոլային ակումբի մարզիչ ընկեր Քնարիկը եւ հրավիրեց իր թիմ, որտեղ ես կստանայի միանգամից խաղալու բարձրագույն լիգայի հնարավորություն։ Դա երազանքի պես էր ինձ համար, որ դրանից դեռ 1-2 տարի առաջ Տմաշեն գյուղում ֆուտբոլի կարիերա սկսող Ժաննան չէր էլ պատկերացնի, որ այդքան շուտ հնարավորություն կստանա բարձրագույն լիգա խաղալու։ Բայց նման հնարավորությունները գալիս են բարդ ընտրություններով հանդերձ։ Սևանի թիմը մոտ էր ակումբ դառնալու հնարավորությանը, բայց մարզիչս ինձ ասաց, որ եթե հեռանայի թիմից, աղջիկները չէին կարող առանց ինձ գրանցել նույն հաջողությունները ու չէին կարող դառնալ արդեն ակումբի հնարավորությունից կզրկվեին։ Ես կանգնել էի շատ բարդ ընտրության առաջ։ Կամ պետք է գնայի երազանքիս հետևից ու միանգամից խաղայի բարձրագույն լիգա, կամ պետք է վերադառնայի Սևան ու սկսեի առաջին լիգայից։ Ես գիտեի, որ թեկուզ բարդ ճանապարհով, բայց վաղ թե ուշ հասնելու էի բարձրագույն լիգայի եւ ընտրեցի, որպեսզի որոշումս կայացրեցի եւ վերադարձա Սևան։ Ես գիտակցում էի, որ մեր մարզում, մեր համայնքում սպորտի զարգացումը այդքան էլ բարձր մակարդակի վրա չէ եւ հասկանում էի, որ իմ քայլով կարող եմ նպաստել այդ ոլորտի զարգացմանը։ Այդպես մենք դարձանք Սևանի թիմով ակումբ, Եվ ամեն խաղը մեզ համար մարտահրավեր էր։ Փորձում էինք լավագույն ձևով ներկայանանք, որ ապացուցենք բոլորին, որ մենք էլ կարող ենք ամեն ինչ, ինչպես տղաները։ Բայց իհարկե այդ ամենը շատ ոգևորիչ էր։ Ես շատ էի ուրախանում այդ ամենից, բայց չէի կարողանում մոռանալ իմ մեծ երազանքի մասին։ Իսկ երազանքներիս ակումբը դա Փյունիկն էր։ Շատ էի ուզում խաղալ Փյունիքում, շփվել Փյունիկի մարզիչների հետ։ Եվ այդպես ֆուտբոլի ասպարեզում ձեռք բերեցի շատ լավ ընկերներ, որոնցից մեկը ընկեր Սարգիսն է։ Մի անգամ նա ինձ ասաց. «Ժաննա, կուզես խաղալ Փյունիքում»։ Երբ լսեցի այդ խոսքերը, շատ զարմացա, բայց միևնույն ժամանակ ուրախացա, որ հնարավորություն ունեմ խաղալու իմ երազանքների ակումբում։ Այդպես ինձ զանգահարեց ընկեր Արմենը, Փյունիկի մարզիչս, եւ հրավիրեց իր թիմ։ Այս անգամ ես չէի կարող այս երազանքս ու հնարավորությունս բաց թողնել իմ ձեռքից։ Եվ ես մինչև հիմա Փյունիքում եմ։ Բայց երազանքդ ապրելը նույնպես գալիս է դժվարություններով եւ անակնկալներով լի։ Մի անգամ պատրաստվում էինք լիգայի խաղերի, ունեցանք մի ընկերական խաղ, որի ժամանակ ստացա վնասվածք ծնկի մենիսկ։ Երկար բուժումներից հետո բաց թողնելով պարապմունքը բուժումներից հետո դուրս եկա խաղադաշտ եւ շարունակեցի իմ պարապմունքները։ Բայց ցավոք սրտի վնասվածքս կրկնվեց, այս անգամ ավելի լուրջ էր, ստացա խաչաձև կապանի կտրվածք ծնկի։ Չէի կարողանում համակերպվել այն մտքի հետ, որ պետք է բաց թողնեմ խաղաշրջանը ու չեմ կարող ընկերներիս հետ շարունակել։ Բայց ամենացավալին դա չէր։ Երբ ուսումնասիրեցին վնասվածքս, բժիշկները ինձ խորհուրդ տվեցին, որ առհասարակ հրաժարվեմ ֆուտբոլից։ Բայց ինձ համար շատ ծանր էր այդ փաստը, ես չէի կարող պատկերացնել իմ օրը, իմ կյանքը առանց ֆուտբոլի, առանց դաշտ, առանց գնդակ։ Եվ որոշեցի, որ եթե չեմ կարող լինել մարզիկ, ապա կլինեմ մարզիչ։ Որոշեցի, որ Դդմաշեն գյուղում հավաքեմ թիմ ու պարապեմ երեխաների հետ։ Իհարկե մտավախությունը շատ մեծ էր, որ երեխաները որպես մարզիչ լուրջ չեն վերաբերվի։ Դրա համար որոշեցի որոշմանս մասին առաջինը ասել մայրիկիս։ Մայրիկս ինչպես եւ միշտ իմ կողքին էր, աջակցեց ինձ։ Եվ կարող եմ ասել վստահորեն, որ ամենադժվար պահին բոլոր կասկածները փառատվում են, երբ մայրդ ասում է, որ դու ամեն ինչ կարող ես, ամեն ինչ կհաջողես։ Հաջորդ օրը, երբ գնացի դպրոց, հայտարարեցի, որ սկսում ենք ֆուտբոլի պարապմունքներ, երեխաների ոգևորվածությունը այնքան մեծ էր, որ ինձ համար անսպասելի էր։ Հետո ես կուզեի ունենայի աղջիկների թիմ եւս, բայց տեսնում եմ, որ շատերը համարձակություն չունեն իրենց փորձեն այդ ոլորտում եւ անկախ ամեն ինչից ես փորձում եմ պայքարել իմ օրինակով, որպեսզի գուցե տեսնեն ինձ, ոգևորվեն եւ կարողանան իրենց փորձել այդ ոլորտում։ Առաջին պարապմունքը երեխաների հետ շատ ոգևորիչ էր։ Ինձ ուժ էին հաղորդում եւ ես փորձում էի փոխադարձ դա իրենց վերադարձնել։ Ես ինչպես իմ առաջ էի դրել նպատակ հաղթանակին հասնելու համար ոչ մի ջանք չխնայել, այդպես էլ նրանց փորձում էի առաջնորդել այդ ոգով։ Ընթացիկ խնդիրները շատ էին, ունեինք գույքի բացակայություն, գնդակների բացակայությունը եւս մեծ խնդիր էր, բայց այդ ժամանակահատվածում մեզ հրավիրեցին Գագարին ֆուտբոլային մրցաշարին, որը առաջին լուրջ մարտահրավերն էր մեր թիմի համար։ Չնայած այդ խնդիրներին մենք մեր 45 հոգանոց թիմով պարապեցինք ընդամենը 3 գնդակով եւ կարողացանք լավ պատրաստվածությամբ ներկայանալ խաղին եւ ունեցանք գեղեցիկ հաղթանակ։ Իհարկե, այստեղ ցանկություններ եւ ջանասիրաբար աշխատելը, որին մենք հասանք։ Այսօր ես իմ թիմի հետ շարունակում եմ պարապել նույն ոգևորվածությամբ, նույն համառությամբ եւ շատ ուրախ եմ, որ իմ օրինակով կարողանում եմ նրանց մոտիվացիա փոխանցել, ուժ փոխանցել, որպեսզի իրենք էլ հասնեն իրենց երազանքներին, իրենց նպատակներին։ Եվ կարծում եմ, որ երազանքները այնքանով են կարևոր, ինչքանով որ մենք ենք փորձում դրանց իմաստավորել մեր ընտրած ուղղությամբ, մեր բերած դրական փոփոխություններով եւ ստացած մարտահրավերներով։ Երբեք մի կոտրվեք, միշտ առաջ նայեք եւ եթե անկեղծ ելույթից առաջ եւ հիմա էլ մի փոքր հուզված էի, բայց փորձում էի մաքսիմալ անկեղծ շփվել ու պատմել ձեզ իմ կյանքը եւ կուզեմ մի փոքր խորհուրդ տալ, որ միշտ գնացեք ձեր երազանքների հետևից, որովհետեւ պետք է որ մեր երազանքի շարունակությունը տեսնենք նաեւ ուրիշների մեջ։ Գնացեք ձեր երազանքի հետևից, որովհետեւ երազանքը շատ մոտ է։ Շնորհակալություն։
Bravo, 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 Жанна, for the bravery, continuous bravery, never giving up on her dream, having the courage to step up on this stage, to talk to everyone. This was amazing. Жанна Jan, people just remember her name, Жанна Mkhitaryan. You're going to hear it a lot, I'm sure, be it in football, be it in anywhere she will step in. Thank you so much. Moving on, we are approaching the last talk of this first half of our TEDxTsaghkunk today. But following the talk, we will also have a very, very special performance, so be ready for that as well. So, times are changing, and new technologies also come to help us, but it also takes a lot of flexibility and skill to acquire the knowledge and the use of these technologies. Our next speaker is going to take us on a journey to learning how we can make use of these new technologies and how can we turn into intelligent leadership. Mr. Tamas is a doctor of sciences, and Mr. Tamas Landes is a doctor of sciences and is a well-known expert in security and healthcare, working with United Nations, European Union, OSCE, and other well-known worldwide organizations, covering a wide range of spheres and expertise. So now let's look at his definition of future intelligent leadership. Mr. Landes, please take on the stage. Thank you.
Yesterday, I was in Tomorrowland. Exactly 6 months ago to the date, I celebrated my birthday, my double birthday. I joined a group of friends in Norway above the Arctic Circle, and we were hunting for the northern lights, the aurora borealis, surrounded by the majestic Lofoten fjords. Little did we know that the next day I would suffer respiratory and cardiac arrest due to falling into a snow-covered crevice. Thanks to long years of breath work, open water swimming, and the collaborative efforts of those around me, I managed to survive miraculously unharmed to give you my story today. Waking up in a roaring rescue helicopter was surreal. It felt surreal. A bit like waking up probably from time travel or being injected in the Matrix. But my awakening coincided with the crucible moment for all of us in this room, and perhaps for all of humanity. As you are seeing the advent of artificial intelligence, which could mark the dawn of a new age, a new era for our species evolution. In the epic science fiction movie 2001 Space Odyssey from Stanley Kubrick, released in 1964, prehistoric men were using a mammoth bone for the first time as a tool and as a weapon. More recently, in a blockbuster movie, Barbie, little girls are given Barbie dolls for a similar purpose. Today, we all are given generative artificial intelligence to embrace it and use it as a tool, as a weapon, or as a toy. In the Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which was a masterpiece in science fiction released in the 1940s, the Galactic Empire avoids over-reliance on artificial intelligence by lessons learned from earlier AI crises. They devised something called the Frankenstein complex, which restricts the development of autonomous AI systems and robots, which could get out of control. Ethical dilemmas surrounding the evolution and development of AI systems is very topical today. AI is like an alien form of intelligence which requires safeguards and restrictions. During my PhD research, I talked to and interviewed many global leaders, futurists, and visionaries, asking them the question, how should we prepare for an AI-painted future? A sneak peek into the researchers' laboratories of today can give us a sense of what possible future scenarios we could expect in order to shape a better present. So, for instance, we will see brain-human interfaces combined with exoskeletons, which will be a game changer. The internet will become a brain net, which will be able to send emotions, real emotions, instead of emojis. This will revolutionize the way we interact with each other, but also the way we communicate and we entertain ourselves. Or, nanotechnology will reform healthcare. Your toilet will be the first line of defense about many types of diseases, early warning you and devising the appropriate medicine and treatment. But we're also becoming a multi-planetary species due to our curiosity for space exploration and increasing capabilities. Self-replicating robots could help us build another human habitat on a different planet. But this level of change, unprecedented change, requires leadership in complex systems. Throughout the last 30 years, I have been researching the future of leadership and combining it with foresight techniques, which I like to call future intelligent leadership. So, you might ask yourselves, how could I become a future intelligent leader? Well, striking the power pose, as you see on this picture, might be a good start, but probably not enough. So I devised a methodology for you to measure your future intelligence coefficient, or FQ, by combining Machiavellism and authentic leadership scores and putting them on a 2x2 matrix. Machiavellism is a trait characterized by manipulation and self-interest, furthering one's own goals. It's becoming today very fashionable again, as its reference to pragmatism and adaptability resonates with today's challenges. Authentic leadership, on the other hand, refers to a trait of people with high degree of integrity who are led by a moral compass, developing trust and building meaningful relationships within their teams. Now, the good combination, the ideal combination to become a future intelligent leader would be higher degrees of authentic leadership and lower degrees of Machiavellism, which you see on the right bottom corner of this quadrant. Okay, Tamas, that's very cool, but so far, you might say, I thought it was enough to have an high IQ and high EQ. Why should you care? Why should I care about having also a high FQ? Well, great question, and let me answer it by sharing with you 5 easy steps to become a future intelligent leader. First step, you will need to be adaptive, lifelong learners in the face of rapid technological change. Throughout my career as a United Nations diplomat, I lived and worked across 4 continents. I feel equally comfortable waltzing through the ballrooms of Vienna in the Hofburg as riding on horseback with local elders in the Hindu Kush mountains of Afghanistan playing Buzkashi. My grandmother used to say, she, by the way, lost most of her family in the Holocaust. She said that they can take everything away from you except what is in your head. What matters the most, creating wealth, is about expanding your mind and not what is on what type of car you have, what house you have, what is on your bank account. And I tried to live up to the principles of my grandmother all my life. But today we are entering a different time when our minds are not safe any longer. How to adapt to such a new reality? So, step 2. You will need future literacy and effective communication skills to thrive in the future. As an international civil servant, I had the privilege to have a first row seat, witnessing and contributing to many historical transformations around the world over the past 30 years. Most recently, in the last decades, as a director of the World Health Organization, I have been witnessing, for example, the COVID pandemic, which affected all of us in the world. The WHO uses anticipation and backcasting methodologies in its planning. And it's forecasted the COVID pandemic much earlier than 2019. They called it Disease X, but no one listened. What we saw instead, despite expert warning, is chaos and disruption, and not unity and collaboration. Now today, we have the evidence and the data to prevent the next pandemic. But our leaders prepared. Step 3. Embrace emerging technologies in order to evolve your innovation ecosystem. Everything I have done as a leader and a practitioner required the skills to look into the future, the skills to use anticipation and foresight techniques made the difference in my area of work. In the UN, we like to say, among others, that technology and science will connect us with nature instead of controlling it. Step 4. Embrace cross-disciplinary collaboration in order to solve complex problems. What I like to tell my students is combine your vertical subject matter expertise or hard skills with horizontal cross-disciplinary contextual knowledge or soft skills. A little bit like a T-shaped hammer with a practical grip, leverage strength, hitting the problems of the world on their head, gently playing the music. And finally, step number 5, value-based and ethical decision-making will be crucial in maintaining public trust. I personally practice mindfulness, presence, and breathwork every day if I can. It helped me during assignments to difficult and hardship hazardous places like Sudan, Somalia, Afghanistan, the Chechen border, or the Colombian jungle. I learned that values are like muscles. They need to be trained and used in order to keep them developing and strong. So in summary, in conclusion, I showed you the 5 main characteristics of future intelligent leadership. The more you see yourself on the right corner, the better prepared you are to lead into the future. My near-death experience has become a case study at the Norwegian Rescue Services. I spent more than 15 minutes buried under the snow. I suffered something called snow immersion suffocation, or SIS. I did not see the bright light when I was in the crevice, but when I woke up on the helicopter, I felt like stepping out of Plato's cave, seeing the world in a different light and broadening my perspective. My brain is more thirsty for wisdom and knowledge than ever before. Plato proposed that leadership is the duty of those who learn the skills and the knowledge because of their love for wisdom. My late grandmother's words cling in my ears. I hope that one day in the future, by the good use of AI and harnessing our minds, I might be able to have another conversation with her over a cup of tea in the virtual world. But for now, and in closing, I would like to leave with you with this picture of future intelligent Filipino tarsiers and a small exercise, if that's okay. Relax in your seats and hold the hands of your neighbors if you can, and close your eyes. And let's breathe together. 1, 2, 3 in. 1, 2, 3 out. 1, 2, 3 in. 1, 2, 3 out. And then take a big breath and hold it. And smile. Feel how you synchronize with everyone in the room. And think of a future, a better future, a healthier future you want your grandchildren to inherit. Keep that thought, keep the smile, and hold your breath. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And you may breathe normally again, open your eyes. Keep the smile on your future intelligent faces and keep breathing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamas, so much. From artificial intelligence to mindfulness, this is, I believe, the formula that you just provided to really explore the contemporary world, not to get lost in it, to find your way and still be reconnected to your inner self. Another means of reconnecting to our inner selves would be culture and arts. And I invite you all to really enjoy this very special moment with our dear honorary guest, who I would like to invite here for a special performance with which we will conclude the first half of the event. And then after the break, I would like to ask you all to be back in 45 minutes, please. So we all have the honor to have with us today a world-famous soprano, the people's artist of the Republic of Armenia, our very dear Ms. Hasmik Batyan. Please welcome.
I was not supposed to speak, but I would tell a couple of words. It has been very long journey, 37 years of big career. I was traveling all over the world. I haven't been only in countries like Afghanistan, Pakistan, even India, because they don't have an opera houses there. So after this big journey, I'm back in Armenia since 2 years to bring back the future. And actually I stopped singing because I think it's very important to pass the estafette to the young generation so they can also sing, perform and earn money, become famous. Now I will try to sing to greet you with the Armenian song, which suggested Mr. Agajanian, and I must tell you, I admire him so much. It's very difficult to resist. So I will try to sing. Thank you.
Dear guests, welcome back to TEDxTsaghkunk. I hope we all had some good fresh air of the Armenian highlands and we're ready to get back to our inspiring, really inspiring talks. And I'd like to thank again our first 5 speakers for their motivation and inspiration that you shared with us, and Ms. Hasmik Papian for her incredible performance. Thank you so much. So, in the first half, we spoke a lot about planning good future for the new generations, imagining instead of them. But in this case, the second half, we're starting with the young generation, telling telling us what the future looks like in the mirror of future. So please take your seats and be ready, because they are not really speakers, they're performers, and they're going to really inspire us with their performance. So, mirror in future, please welcome them.
You can't even imagine what's coming next.
A very interesting and cognitive game. That's what's coming next.
After this game, you take your rose-tinted glasses off.
We will see.
Why are you such
What she meant was, look, see what's happening around us. It's the start of a catastrophe, the end of the world, total chaos. AI will conquer everything and everyone.
Okay, Mr. Catastrophe, sit down, okay? It's obvious you two are dystopia builders and you two are utopia builders.
Hold on which side are you again?
Well, I'm not biased and not gonna take a side. I agree with some utopian and some dystopian ideas, so I'll just be the game master.
Let's start, shall we?
Yep, I'll deal the cards.
Okay, I'll go first. Air and environmental pollution will force people to build closed cities where temperature, air pressure, air composition, climate, and etc. are regulated. There will be highly unfavorable conditions for humankind to live outside those cities.
But why do you think we will come across this problem? The lack of resources will force humans to recycle 100% of their waste, and the pollution won't reach that level.
But that will require an enormous amount of energy, therefore a lot of money. Where are you going to get that?
Dystopia. There is tons of energy in outer space in a forms that we can't yet understand. But farther, we can find some way to use it, and the energy problem will be solved.
Wait. Where are we going so far? We have such unique ways that convert solar energy into usable energy here on Earth. Why are you so confused? Of course I mean nature, plants.
Plants.
Oh,
Of course.
Right? That's what our planet lacks the most now. Instead of big metropolises, we should plant forests and use bicycles as the main means of transportation. This way we are solving our global problems of damaged ozone layer, oxygen levels, pollution, and rising temperatures.
She's right.
Overgrown plants do solve some environmental problems, but they're not entirely utopian. They're just too drastic. How are you planning to reach any destination that is out of your continent? Where are all those people gonna live? So it doesn't make any sense. Let's just shuffle the cards, okay? New topic, and the future. Dystopia team starts.
Okay, at first I think we won't be able to differentiate between AI and real people. No.
Exactly. Everyone must be equal, including future robots and AI.
What you're trying to say is that AI-generated art will even stand a chance to compete with genius and creative artwork of Da Vinci, and that's your utopia.
In my utopia, AI is not competing with geniuses. Instead, it learns their style and technique in order to continue the unfinished artworks. Can you imagine how Nikola Tesla could have solved the 21st century problems with modern-day physics knowledge?
Can you?
If AI could copy the way person thinks, his character and ideas, dead or alive, it will do the same thing with suppressors and cool people. It will accomplish their goals and cause mass destruction.
Okay, man, just calm down. It's too controversial. Let's just change the topic, okay? Now, food agriculture in the future. You start.
Okay. In the future, food will change so much that people will not be able to digest natural organic food.
But modified food will solve the hunger problem.
Guys, people will consume so much soft food that they just lose their teeth.
But at the same time, we will not have a need to spend some money on dental issues like toothaches.
Nice comeback.
Oh, come on! If we don't have teeth, therefore the oral speech will degrade so much that we will not be able to verbally communicate.
Exactly. We will develop an automatic brain net, which will provide us a platform that will help us to share thoughts and ideas non-verbally. Plus, the information transmission will take milliseconds.
Wait a second. You mean every thought we have in the future will be automatically shared with everyone?
Absolutely. Do you know how many empires and kingdoms were destroyed in the past because of lies? Can you imagine how many crimes, planned attacks, and bad incidents can be stopped in advance? This can be prevented in the future by developing a system where we can control all of these bad thoughts and intentions.
You utopia builders are so straightforward. You should also look into the other side of this case. New revolutionary ideas will be considered as unacceptable and will be immediately banned. Humankind will be separate from new creative ideas and just stuck at the same point and never develop further.
I mean, I do understand your emotions, but why do you think those ideas would get lost? Everyone can work on those revolutionary ideas and the world might develop faster. So it's not a strict dystopia.
Of course, how many groundbreaking ideas do not eventually come to fruition because people are just afraid of public opinion and criticism.
Yes.
No, don't you understand that in that case every thought we have will be automatically shared with everyone? There are some thoughts that must not be spoken out loud. Your so-called brain box or
Brain net.
Okay.
Brain net.
Your brain net will invade everyone's privacy. In fact, people simply won't have any privacy.
Oh.
Yes, I do have a phone, but what does this have to do with what we're discussing?
How are you talking about future privacy when we already have social media? People sell their own privacy by their own will by buying a phone. Social media already knows more about you than you know about yourself.
At the same time, social media, by analyzing your location, search data, help quickly find people what they need, avoid unwanted traffic, and a lot more. But that's it. It's completely dystopia. One ever thought you had reached billions of people. What are we laughing about?
Actually, guys, don't you remember we've been putting some hours in at the Future Lab and we found a way to contact the future?
Right, right.
I mean, you're so heated up with this discussion. Why don't we just call the future and ask? In fact, we can send one call to a utopia and one call to a dystopia.
You're genius.
Are we really sharing this with public
here.
right now?
Yes?
Sure, on TED?
Why not?
Lucia was right.
No privacy in the future.
Guys, just be quiet, okay? I think the machine doesn't allow me to choose, so I guess we have to figure it ourselves whether we're calling a utopia or a dystopia.
Quiet, everyone. Whoa.
You've reached the year 2500. Please press 1 if you are an artificial intelligence without a body. Press 2 if you are an artificial intelligence in artificial body. Press 3 if you are an artificial intelligence in human body. Press 4 if you are a human intelligence in artificial body. Press 5 if you are a joint human and artificial intelligence in a combined body. Press 6 if you are an enhanced human being, cyborg. For all other options, please press 7.
Okay.
I guess we have to go with 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hi, welcome to Simultech Implants. How can I help?
Hi, we're from 2023. I promise you can trust us.
No. I don't have permission for this. I'm gonna get fired.
No. It's okay. We just have a few questions.
No. They probably already know. They definitely already know.
Wait, now what?
They can see my heartbeat. They can see my computer logs. They check my data every 2 minutes.
They check your data every 2 minutes. rights? What about privacy?
Privacy? What are you talking about? It's already too late. They found out. That's
right.
What happened 18,217 days ago?
Oh, that? Well, someone walked off of their best predetermined course to get to school and took an extra block. Can you imagine that?
Well, when we call you, at first we heard automatic answer from about AI. We just want to ask you, what's the state of AI on your time?
Well, nowadays you can't really tell if someone is human intelligence or artificial intelligence or even a cyborg. I mean, I didn't even know my wife was artificial intelligence until our honeymoon to Mars, because you have to specify to get on the spaceship.
No way.
You mentioned human thought. What do you mean by that? Human emotions or controls or...
Human? I think you mean emotions.
Dude, don't be so insensitive. He's got an AI wife.
oh, sorry. I mean, just mean the emotions.
Well, nowadays, anyone from a stranger across the street to your boss can actually see what you're feeling at all times. Emotions are public knowledge.
So what's life like?
What's life like? Imagine that every T is crossed and every I is dotted. There's no war, no famine. There are no more problems in the world. Every day is predetermined for you. Okay. News stations report once a month because there is nothing else to report on.
Oh my god, mate. Is there a way to help you?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's too late for me. And you know, even though this phone call got me fired, who knows what else? It's the most entertaining thing that's happened to the world in a very long time. So, thank you for that.
What happened? Is he okay? Let's call him again. It's not his fault.
Come on, let's call somebody else and maybe mess with their life too, huh?
Guys, come on. Just be quiet, okay? We're gonna try again.
Yes, try again.
What do you want? You are connected to the wrong person. Get out of my head and let me find some food.
Hello?
Hello? Haven't heard this old-timer word for a while. Are you Asian? You sound like my 250-year-old grandpa.
Maybe it's because we are from 2023.
No way. You are even more ancient than I thought. You must be related to those Neanderthals, huh? You're practically out there playing with dinos.
We just call you to ask some questions. Actually, we are really developed. In fact, we are the generation that create AI to help your grandpa to live 250 years.
Actually, my beloved Neanderthals, with your AI and ruthless exploitation, you messed up with not only the planet Earth, but also other planets nearby and in our solar system.
What do you mean by that? Overpopulation?
Really, you gotta be kidding me. I need to hike for over several decades to find a natural human being, let alone the one I can reproduce with. And that's assuming the best case scenario.
What's he talking about?
Wait, I have to ask, but do you have something to eat?
Overpopulation and biodiversity loss, especially in plants, brought only short-term relief and killed the whole ecosystem of Earth life. We could have eaten so many delicious and unique things like oranges and bananas.
That's unique.
Of course, even the colonization of the neighboring planets didn't help because we ate everything again, but this time much faster. That was hilarious. Genetic engineering and editing for longevity only made the overpopulation problem worse, and the Great Big Crash happened. Conflict over resources, and each centimeter of land brought unpredictable new diseases and killed every living creature on the planet. But, my Neanderthal friends, it's fun, because after the big crash, everything I can find or catch I can eat. No need to pay with, what do you call it again?
Money.
Money?
But you do have a privacy, right?
Privacy. You really are ancient. I'm living in my dream. I don't need privacy. What kind of question is that? I just need a company to catch something bigger, you know? Do you really think it's a problem? Oh, was I was trying to...
Was he really happy with everything? Maybe he was messing with us?
I'm lost. I'm really lost.
Why are you lost? He has his privacy. He's enjoying his life. That's a dream utopia.
Of course, a utopia doesn't have to be structured and regulated. He was happy. What more does utopia consist of?
But consider how hard his life is. He has to hunt for his food and goes without human contact for decades at a time. A real utopia is a place where your safety and comfort is guaranteed.
But to catch your own food is something really cool.
Life would be so dull. Is there no problem to solve?
None of them messed up with all the planets.
You don't have to pay for anything.
Guys, just stop, people, stop. Did you understand that extremes are not good for us? Let's call the normatopia future and find the answers, the real ones.
Let's
You know what? We need to challenge the norm. We need to push back on social pressure that limits creativity. Fight for the better mental health of everyone around us. We need to encourage cultural and social diversity. We need to also encourage cultural and social evolution with inclusivity of our society. Without scientific knowledge democratization, we cannot encourage critical thinking. If we really want to build a better future, we need the world to hear this call from here.
And there is the reason why we hear this call right now.
To save our planet Earth, the home of all of us.
Let's do it together and change
the
for better.
better.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, MIF. Mirror in future. Oh my God, there are some scary scenarios in the future, but I'm sure with this generation, with this bright mind, there is no way these scary scenarios are going to come true. Thank you so much for envisioning and for standing up for a better future for yourselves and for the coming generations. Something, although we saw that in the future, our imaginary people, did not have money or did not have responsibility or something, but something remained the same as we have today. They were very articulate. They were talking and speaking with gestures, with facial expressions, and that was very impressive. That is the language that, even according to these wrong scenarios, will never die. And that is the body language. This is a very important language that concerns all of us and each of us. And it is very important, the way we can present ourselves. It is often said that, well, we should not judge about the book from its cover, but in human communication, it is a very important aspect, how people present themselves. So, in this regard, our next speaker is going to take us to the world of this language, the body language. I would like to introduce Mr. Stefan Vera. Mr. Stefan Vera is one of the most sought-after body language experts who is sharing his knowledge with more than 150,000 followers on social media. He is working with world-renowned, huge organizations worldwide, such as NATO, the US Navy. So people he is training must have already appeared in our screens, on our social media many times, and we didn't know about that. So, what is the secret behind the body language? What is the secret behind the proper, correct, and effective communication through our body, through our facial expressions, through our gestures? This is something that we will explore with Mr. Stefan Vera. And something else I would like to mention, we are really thankful to Mr. Vera because he also took time to train our today's speakers. He took time from his free time to rehearse with our speakers and to make sure that the performance on the stage and the body language of our speakers is also some part of the speakers. Some speakers missed the training, but we really appreciate the fact that Mr. Stefan Vera took the time to work with our speakers as well. I think we're ready to move on. So, without further ado, please welcome our speaker who speaks the eternal language which is never going to die, body language expert, Mr. Stefan Vera. Please welcome.
The world and the future is shaped by solutions. It is shaped by those solutions that get converted into action. So it's not necessarily the best solutions. It's a solution that gets the most people attracted to. And you know what? Here lies the problem. Because if you look throughout the world, it's not always the most clever people with the best solutions who sit in the most powerful positions. Huh? Can we agree on that? Look at your government, no, not your government. But there are certain governments in the world where we know, no, maybe they are a little bit mediocre. Or look at companies. It's not always that your boss is the most clever person, but he or she has the power to implement his or her solutions. And, you know, nowadays that is more relevant than ever because of the internet. If you look at podcasts, at YouTubes, it's not always the YouTube video or the podcast with the best content that gets the most attention. If you hear some of the podcasts, sometimes you might think, well, that was not an intellectual revelation. But it's also with you. I'm sure you know that situation. You sit in a meeting and you hear one person who gets all the attention, the loudest one, and you sit in the back and think, what a jerk. He hasn't got a clue, but still he gets the attention. You know what? That hurts, because I know you have the better solutions. Sometimes you are really the most clever people in the room. But you know what? No one listens to you. And that is the problem. So the world, and that is the big danger, is not always shaped by the most clever people and by the best solutions. And the thing about solution and cleverness is when you are in that meeting and you didn't get the attention, you think one thing, I have to make another education. I have to book a new seminar because I'm not clever enough. But you know what? It's always the other way around. Most of you are clever enough. The thing is only, you are missing of tools how to attract people. Because it's always the other way around. First you have to attract people, and then they are eager to listen to you. Now I see some of you think, no, it's about cleverness. You know what? That's why you are still single. Huh? That's why you're still single, but I will prove it to you. Two women are sitting in a bar. They're having a great ladies' night out. They're having real fun. Sitting in a bar, having a chat, having great drinks, and the music is loud. Just a wonderful evening. Both of them are single, and they are looking for a man. But women don't do it very obviously. They talk to each other, and very quickly they look around in the room, and they see each and every man. Now you think, nah, I don't watch any man. Yes, you do. Only your subconsciousness is clever enough to delete all the idiots. But still you saw them. And you know, while chatting, they're looking at this side and they see two men at the bar. And the men are also talking. But the music is so loud, the women don't hear the man. They only see their facial expressions, their body language. And one of them has very quick motions, eyebrows up, smiling a lot of strong and big gestures. And one of the ladies is triggered by that. She looks at that person and she is fascinated by him. You know why? Because she has an inner feeling, an inner desire for enthusiasm, for activity, and for temperament. And you know what? His body language promises those needs to fulfill. And that's why she is so fascinated by him. But her friend, she thinks, what a nervous guy. But she's lucky because his friend has a completely different body language. His movements are very slow, very calm, like a sailboat on a sea. Now she's completely fascinated. You know why? Because she has an emotional need for stability, for predictability, for trust. She is looking for the shoulder to lean on. And his stable body language promises her to fulfill those needs. And that is why we always fall in love in body language. And if you think, well, I'm always having bad luck with men, you know what? That is because you promise something that always attracts the wrong man or the wrong women. So if you want to attract different people, you have to promise something different. And that brings us back to science and to future. The clever people often, and I have been working on human body language for more than 25 years. And you know what? The biggest problem is that the clever people always think it's always about the content. Content rules, they always say. And that is true. Content is important, but only afterwards. Only afterwards. Only after they have realized you are attractive enough. You promise me competence. You promise me likability. And the thing about body language is, if you think, I want to be taken seriously, I want to be taken competent, then you're making something wrong, because the body language of competence sometimes is dead. But in the first moment, people think, do I want to have communication with that person? Believe me, a person who walks like this, they all want just to get rid of you. So the first thing is think of our brain structure. And our brain structure says, John McLean said that in the 1950s. The first decisions are still made by the brain stem. And the brain stem, you know the word fight or flight in communication. That just means, do I want to have more communication with that person? Do I want to listen to that person? Or do I want to get rid of that person? And that is why always be a likable person from the first moment on. Be a likable person. Now, you want to get tools how to be a likable person. Number one, show reaction. Show reaction to other people. And we rarely do that. If you talk to someone and something happens over there, you still talk to them. If someone enters the room, you still talk to them, and this person thinks they didn't see me. If you're clever, you turn to that person. Or if your husband or your wife on the weekend asks you for help and you're sitting in your chair and she says to you, can you help me something? And you do, then your body language promised that you don't have any idea of wanting to help her. So, number one, show reaction. But the rule is show reaction quickly. So if you talk to someone, someone enters the room, don't turn around like that. If someone has a question, don't do. Got it? Because from that moment on, they all think about you like... So from the first moment on, show quick reaction. When you talk to someone, someone enters the room, turn to them quickly. If you are doing a presentation and you are on flight 75, I know how many slides you use. You are at slide 75 and someone has a question and you think, no, first I want to finish my slides, then the people are not connected to you. So what you should do is turn around, give them the appreciation and say, let me finish that first and then I'm with you, and then you continue with your slides. If you talk to someone has a question, quickly turn to them and say, I finished that, then I'm with you, and then you continue your chat. So people, human beings are eager to be appreciated. That's the first thing, to be a likable person, getting the feeling that you realized me. Number one. Number two is, how do you do that? You don't have to have that temperament that I have. You can also do it with the temperament of Angela Merkel. It's easy, because you have something in your face that gives you that tool, and that is your eyebrows. Raise your eyebrows. Raise your eyebrows. I just want to see who of you is using botulinum toxin, yeah? Raise your eyebrows, yeah. And now, turn to the person next to you and say one sentence to that person with one rule. No movement in the eyebrows, just turn to them and say to them, you are also here. Yes, and now let's do that again with a small change, and that is, we take the same sentence, you are also here, but with the word we raise the eyebrows. Let's do that together. And get the difference? I hope you out there in the screens, when you have someone in the room and they enter the room and you say, you are also here. Switch to a different homepage, okay? Might be difficult. So raise your eyebrows, that is very important. And finally, to be a likable person, there's one thing you all know, and that is smile more. Smile more. Too many clever people sit in meetings, do presentations, and they always think the most earnest one is the most clever one. You know that from university, you know that from school. But from the first moment on, we just want to be attracted by a person. And that is why smile more. And don't be afraid to smile too much. In the world, we don't see that many smiling people. But you don't have to smile all the way through the day. It looks a little bit silly if you smile all day. Okay, got it? Especially if you raise the eyebrows, you know. There are special doctors for that, but you don't want to go to them. So smile more, that is very important. And the reason for that is you appear more self-confident, because we have a hormone that is called cortisol that is synthesized in the adrenal gland. So this hormone is synthesized, and this hormone raises our stress level. So if your cortisol level is very high, your facial expression is something like that. You know what? When you go to the date with that facial expression, you will stay single. Okay? And it is the same when you do a presentation. If you talk like that, people are happy if it is over. So smile more. And the rule of thumb is, try to have a facial expression where the corners of your mouth are a little bit closer to a smiling face than to a serious face. So if you're up there with your mouth, corners of your mouth, you signal, well, I am in control of everything. When you start a presentation, when you show someone something, when you meet someone, raise the corners of your mouth. And some of you might think, but there are situations where you shouldn't smile. You know, in my life, in my work, I'm 50 years now. In my work, I have worked with people who are really on the brink of death. I work for hospices. I work for children's hospices. And you know what? The worst thing you can do is entering a hospice with that facial expression. You know what you bring into the hospice? You bring death into the hospice. But you know, those children in the hospice, they only want one thing, and that is life. They want life. And that is why a smiling face is so important. But in the end, you will realize it's not always about being nice. Sometimes you have to be tough. Sometimes you have to be very competent. You know what? Competence comes out of likability. And you all want to be very assertive, very competent. But I know one thing about you all. Not even your children do what you ask them to do. And that is the problem. You know, Monday morning you clean up your room, you clean up the kitchen, and you say to the children, before you go to school, you clean your room. And then you run to the bathroom. And while you're running there, you ask again, what's with your room? Is it cleaned up already? Then you brush your teeth and ask for the first time, children, what's with your rooms? You know what? The children at that moment heard the information for 3 times. They already got it by the first time. But you know what? Your body language promised this information is not to be taken serious. And the problem with you is not that you didn't say it. The problem is that your body language didn't promise assertiveness. And that is why now you get a technique. If you use that technique with your children won't only clean their room, they will clean the whole house. And the rule is called N rule. Because if you talk to your children cleaning the kitchen and over the shoulder you say clean your room, then you run to the bathroom, again over the shoulder, what's with your room, then you brush your teeth, again over the shoulder, please clean your room. The information is that is not important. And here comes the N rule. If you want your children to follow you, to obey you, turn to them the first N, and that is the nose. Turn the second N, and that is the navel. Then you tilt your head a little bit like Clint Eastwood did that, and you say, clean your room. And then you remain in that position without any explanations until you get a reaction. And with children, normally the reaction is, okay. That is the N rule. If you want to be assertive, you change your body language from the likable, from the nice body language to the N rule, and from that moment on, you are very assertive. So the body language of competence is not belly in, chest out. The body language is the change from this loose, from this asymmetrical body language to the very strict and earnest body language. So if we complete all of that, we have a takeaway message. Number 1, bonding comes always before competence. Bond with your audience. Number 2, be quick-witted, and quick-witted signals are quick signals. Number 3, the N rule for competence. And last and foremost and very important, ladies and gentlemen, and all out there, just be a nice person. Thank you.
Bravo. I'm not sure how wide I should smile now because I do feel very excited after this very animated talk. It was the most animated talk, and it was very impressive. And there's too many messages to take out from it, especially for single people. Thank you for that. So moving on, I need to explain what kind of a TEDx license we're running this TEDx event with, because we didn't mention it in the beginning. Today, our TEDx is run by a TEDx Countdown license. This license is focused on climate crisis, on raising awareness on climate crisis, and also bringing attention to solutions to it. Nevertheless, I think many people around the world, like me, might be a bit confused about the climate crisis because there's so many information, there are so many scenarios, and sometimes contradicting each other. Just like today, we had an opinion raised that there's no climate crisis and it's in our heads. But nevertheless, we are going to have talks, academic talks, that are going to explain us what is really happening with our planet Earth, with our home, and how we can prevent the worst scenarios from happening. So I would like to present our next speaker, Dr. Oksana Tarasova, who has been the chief of the Global Atmosphere Watch program of the World Meteorological Organization since 2014. Please welcome Dr. Tarasova on the stage with warm applause.
That it won't be a surprise for all of you if I say climate change. We heard climate change, everybody heard about climate change. Is there any person in the audience who have never heard climate change? No, everybody heard about climate change. So what is climate change and how does it express itself? If we look at climate change and how it expresses itself, everybody say global warming. But in reality, it's not just the global warming. I mean, climate change expresses itself through the things which we call climate extremes. In some places, it's becoming, oh God, it's just too hot. In the other places, oh, it just rains like crazy. When it's going to stop? Why we have so much rain? In the other places, you have no rain at all for years. There is no rain. So this is what it is. This is the climate change. And of course, we can look at global temperature. So, what it is with global temperature? The global temperature is increasing. So this is an anomaly on the plot of the global temperature, and you can see that some parts of the world already now are 3 degrees warmer than during pre-industrial times. And we think, yeah, but the Paris Agreement, we want to be just 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial. Yeah, in July, July 2023, the global average temperature was 1.5 degrees above the pre-industrial times. So we are actually getting there, and we're getting there pretty fast. So you start thinking like, okay, so there is a problem. We do realize there is a problem. So what do we do about the problem? Well, if you have a problem, if you're getting sick, you go to the doctor and you do the diagnosis, right? You want to know what it is, what's happening with my body, why it's so bad. So the same is with climate. Do we know what is actually the driver of climate change? Why is it changing? Why it is not staying as it's been there like for many, many years and thousands of years? So what are the drivers? And we can look at the scientific evidences. What are the drivers of climate change? So on this plot, you can see that this is a plot from the recent scientific assessment of the very authorized body, which is called Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. A lot of scientists, thousands of scientists, who are actually looking at what are the drivers of climate change. And interestingly enough, the largest contribution to the observed warming, which is now 1.1 degree above pre-industrial, is coming from the things which are called long-lived greenhouse gases. But not to make it very scientific, I say it's simple. The most important greenhouse gas is CO2. The majority of warming A 1 degree of warming, which happened between pre-industrial times and now, is driven because of this CO2. And you ask immediately, CO2, where in God does it come from? What is the CO2, where it comes from? Well, CO2 is a part of our life. We all consist of carbon. It's carbon molecule. Any part of the living substance on this planet is carbon. So where does the carbon come from? Well, we humans took out the carbon from the soil, from the ground, which is a fossilized fuel, fossil fuel, and we burn it. And when we burn it, we take old carbon and make a new carbon in the atmosphere. And this molecule is pretty tricky. It sits there for thousands of years. So, as we heard from Christopher, the molecule which was emitted hundreds of years ago, it is still with us. It is still flying in the atmosphere. But luckily enough, not everything stays, because otherwise it would be even worse. About 25% is taken by the ocean. So when the air mixes at the surface of the ocean with CO2, CO2 is going into the ocean. It dissolves in the ocean, and it actually takes up about 25% of what we emit. And another thing which actually helps us is the terrestrial biosphere, the forests. The forests, the happy forests, they are photosynthesizing. Thanks God they are photosynthesizing. So the forests are taking 30% of our emissions. And it's only half of what we burned and what we emitted stays in the atmosphere. And this is the half which is driving the climate change. So, if we wanted to address climate change, you can realize that there are two parts of the equation, right? What we put and what is taken out. So, how can you make the sum smaller? Either you put less, right? Or you take out more. And then you have the positive impact. So how we are humans doing with putting something in the atmosphere? I even don't want to look at that plot. These are CO2 emissions since 1990. And as Christopher said, yes, we can do it. We increased our emissions since 1990 by 63%. We are doing very good. And even at the times when we had COVID, when everybody thought, oh my God, life stood still. I am sitting at home. I am not moving anywhere. I am just sitting here with my computer. Nothing is working. You know what? Nothing is working created the reduction in emissions of the whole 5.2%. So even if it felt that life stood still, we only managed to reduce our emissions by 5.2%. And next year, we picked up again. So, yep, we are not doing very well on what we put. So, can we do something with what we take out? Can we actually increase what we take out? Yes, we can. We can do it with the technologies which is called carbon dioxide removal. We can remove CO2 from the atmosphere. And you can do it by different ways. You can use technology. So there was an assessment report which was produced this year, which looked at how are we doing with the carbon dioxide removal? Can we actually remove more? And this report demonstrated that actually majority of the removal is due to the reforestation and afforestation project. We just put more trees. And just to remind you, by doing so, we actually take up 2 gigaton of CO2. Yeah, but our emissions are 38. Yeah, it's definitely not enough. So, can we actually do something, and can we increase the uptakes? And of course, because we are human society, we always think, let's do the market. Market mechanisms, they sort out everything, so let's put market in place. Let's put market mechanisms and do the carbon credits, where when somebody cannot reduce emissions or somebody doesn't want to reduce emissions, they can actually buy the carbon credit for somebody doing it for you. So if somebody reduced the emissions, you can say, hey, you consume less, can it be mine? You reduce and I look good. So that is the market mechanism. So you can actually buy the thing which we call carbon offset from somebody who reduced the emissions. And as we've seen, majority of the projects are related to forestry. And unfortunately, it is related to the forestry which does exist. It's been there before carbon credits, it stays there after carbon credits. And what happens is that on this plot, you see the big bubble this is the emissions. And as I said, you have about 25% taken up by the ocean, which is minus. You have 25% taken up by the terrestrial biosphere, forests, and then you have 50% which is remaining in the atmosphere. So let's add economics. Yeah, fantastic. So each emission has the owner, right? I am the owner of the factory, so I can say, voila, that's my emission. Then I want to have an offset. I want to look good, yeah? I promised my stakeholders we will be carbon neutral next year. So what do? I don't want it to reduce emissions. Okay, let me buy something. So then I buy the carbon offset, which is actually an existing forest. I was like, hey guys, do you have a forest? Okay, so I buy the carbon offset from existing forest. I make the financial transaction, and I feel good. I'm carbon neutral. I'm still emitting, but I'm kind of carbon neutral. And you see that nothing changed on my slide. The net is still the same. It's the same emissions. It's the same uptake. And I paid 1 million to feel good. Did I do anything for climate? Probably not. The voluntary market are the $2 billion market mechanism, which does not offer any solution. It's just the appropriation of existing things. And if you wanted to make it work, you need to create the bubble on the uptakes outside of the existing forest. Or you need to manage the forest differently, that it takes up more. But how would you actually prove that it takes up more? You need to measure. And what do you see with measurements? Why do I say you need to measure? Well, the problem is that you may have a forest there, but the forest, it's not IKEA furniture. It's living, it's breathing. And some forests, even being there, may not be taking up CO2. Amazon basin is where a lot of carbon credits has been sold. And we have the atmospheric community, which is making the measurements in this basin where the aircraft is flying up and down and measuring CO2 directly in the atmosphere. And what has been demonstrated in this project that when you do the analysis, that actually there is a source of 1 gigaton of CO2 in the Amazon basin. It's not taking up CO2. But even if you are smart and you wanted to create new additional forests, there was another report which I wanted to refer here. And that report talks about availability of land. You need to put a forest somewhere. Majority of land on this planet is occupied. And large part of this territory is occupied for the food production. So when you want to put a forest, you will have to compete for the land with the land which is used for the food production. And if you put all the committed new forests, you go beyond planetary boundaries. Or maybe somebody can plant something on Mars, I don't know. Another issue is that when you put a forest, and if you do everything right, and you measure everything, and you do everything correctly, the forest needs to grow. How carbon credits are sold now? I put a seed, done, I get my credit. The plant is not there. It may not even survive the first 5 years. So actually, the plants are starting to take up CO2 after they are 10 plus years old. The current system does sell the carbon credits 100 years up front. And that's why I think that looking at the carbon credits, without quantification and without doing anything about them is not a really good solution. So how do we make this solution good? What should we do? Well, first, we need to think about emission reduction. We need to do it. We can do it. We can do it because it's possible. There are ways to do the solutions. And we also need to introduce the physics, the atmosphere, the environment into our economy, because it is not there. But we know it should be there. It should be there. You cannot sell the things which you do not measure. And of course, you need to measure what you do. With that, we can ensure that our future generation take right solutions on the best size and actually look and verify exactly what we are doing. And we heard it, we can do it, but we have to do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tarasova, for a very informative speech. Now I think we're starting to make sense of the catastrophe we're in and that we need to prevent. And with our next speech, our next speaker is taking the notion of climate crisis to a rather maybe poetic definition, eco-catharsis. Let's learn what eco-catharsis is. And our next speaker, Mr. Valery Petrosyan, is professor, doctor of chemical sciences, a UN expert for chemical security. He's a strong believer that of the ability of humans that we can shift this catastrophic impact we're having on Mother Earth today. So, without further ado, Mr. Petrosyan, please take the stage. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. It's my great privilege and honor to be with you tonight. And I'm greatly thankful to Arsena Gadjanian for the possibility to speak about the problems of the environment. My colleague Tatiana Tarasova gave a brilliant lecture about the problems with climate, so I will be just partly mentioning that because of greenhouse gases. And first of all, I've been concentrating my short talk, because it's only 15 minutes, on the problem of toxic compounds. Thank you very much. Last year, I have invented the new concept of eco-catharsis, and I have to explain you what does it mean. You know the term ecology. Ecology means science of environment, and actually in Greek, oikos means habitat, logos means science, so ecology is science on habitat, ecologia, I mean. And catharsis has only one translation from Greek. It's cleaning or cleansing. And then I have introduced the new term, which is eco-catharsis, which is the cleansing of habitat. And I had, but as I've said, Oksana has been explaining you everything about the greenhouse gases. And this is why I will just skip this slide and go ahead. I'll be talking about chemical stresses. And chemical stresses are the toxic effects of some of the compounds which create cancer, cardiovascular, and endocrine diseases. And some of the chemical compounds like formaldehyde, acetaldehyde, halogenated benzenes, and polyhalogenated dioxins and polynuclear aromatics, all of them supposed to be known by you from the course of, from the discipline which is called organic chemistry at school. But the problem with these compounds, that all of them are highly toxic. This compound is coming from electronic cigarettes, and acetaldehyde is coming from alcoholic drinks. Halogenated benzenes are coming from all kind of fireworks, and polychlorinated dioxins and furans are coming with all of the fires you are creating in your daches, for example, preparing food on the carbon-containing fuel, and the same thing with polynuclear aromatics. First of all, with the benzopyrene, which is the carcinogen of the first class of danger. And with other inorganic compounds, we have all of these ammonia, hydrazine, arsine, phosphine, hydrogen sulfide, thiols, inorganic cations like mercury, cadmium, lead, methyl mercury, which is coming mostly from seafood, and tributyldiene, tin, and coming from sea as well, tetraethyl lead, which is still existing as the additive to gasoline, pesticides, which are supposed to be used in all type of agricultural places, and we have to discuss with Arsene and all the colleagues if we are going to use pesticides here or we will be taking different ways. And of course, fertilizers, specifically nitrogen-containing fertilizers, they create a lot of problems nowadays with the aquatic ecosystems, particularly the compounds which are called cyanotoxins. And of course, we have to speak about radionuclides, which are also chemical compounds. And the only thing that they possess two types of stresses, not only chemical stresses, but also the physical stresses. And of course, I have to mention as one of the most important and dangerous source of dangerous chemicals, going back. Those are the landfills of municipal solid waste, and this is stress both of climate and health. And as to the climate, of course, we are talking about methane, and you've got the information from Oksana, and I'm talking mostly about the toxic compounds, which are hydrogen sulfides, thiols, disulfides, ammonia, phosphine, arsine. And even when we don't burn the waste landfills, we are getting all of these compounds. They look very normal. They look very romantic, I would say, with all of these birds flying over the landfills, but they are highly toxic. And this is why people are suffering from those landfills, and this is why we have to create the new system of management with waste. And we just finished the monograph about the new system of managing of landfills in Russia. And when we are going to the next slide, you see the burned landfills. And burning landfills, people doing that not only by chance, they are taking off from the landfills the metals, the precious metals. And burning the landfills is the simplest way to earn a lot of money because of taking out of the landfills the precious metals. But burning the landfills, you create sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde, CO2, nitrogen 2O, water, polynuclear aromatics, and polychlorinated dibenzodioxins and polychlorinated dibenzofurans. So one important thing, what will be evidently we have to do here, we have to create the even small, but anyway, the new system of dealing or management of with waste. And I have to mention specifically on the problem of hypoxia in Yerevan, and not only in Yerevan, but also in the city of Moscow and other big cities around the world. Hypoxia is the deficit of oxygen. And Oksana has been talking about the role of trees and other greens which perform the formation of oxygen. But one thing we have to have in mind, that driving your car, for example, with the gasoline engine, you destroy every one molecule of gasoline destroys 14 molecules of oxygen. So you can imagine how many molecules of oxygen you destroy driving your cars every day and everywhere around the world. City of Moscow has 8.5 million of cars nowadays. So people have a great extent of hypoxia in the cities. And with the diesel fuel, it is even worse, because every molecule of diesel destroys 18 molecules of oxygen. And every plane, kerosene, destroys 23 molecules of oxygen. So when we are talking about the consumption, we are having in mind that as well. Driving the cars is the dangerous consumption. Running the jet planes, we are also destroy the oxygen. And cutting the trees, of course, we are not producing the new oxygen. And the less trees we have, the less oxygen we have, and the greater hypoxia we have. And we do have to have that in mind in our project here as well. And talking about the fields, agricultural production, as I have said, we have to be very careful with the chemicals we will be using here, trying to increase the harvest of the agricultural things. And those are, again, nitrogen-containing fertilizers, and those are the different type of pesticides, including organochlorine pesticides, nitrogen-containing pesticides, and permetrins. And why particularly Armenia? Why we are talking about Armenia? Here it's evident. We live here and we are performing the project here. And the question why Armenia needs ecocatharsis. And as I've said, it's not only Armenia, it's all over the world. People need ecocatharsis. And to perform and to save Armenians from diseases, from cancer, from cardiovascular diseases and endocrine disruptions, we have to stop the emissions. We have to stop the pollution of the ecosystems of Armenia. Atmosphere, aquatic ecosystems, soils, and to save Armenia from catastrophic climate change. Oksana showed brilliantly what we have to do. And I've called my talk Gagarin implementation of ecocatalysis in Armenia. That means that with the help of Gagarin project, we have to show an example how we can implement the ecocatalysis as the process of cleansing the Armenian environment. And there are several ways. First, no technologies bringing toxic and radioactive waste into the environment. Second, no products containing toxic and radioactive compounds. And third, combination of carbon low carbon and zero carbon economy, and care highly the content of oxygen in the air. And with this, I stop my short talk, and I thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, Mr. Petrosyan. Thank you so much for all the insights and all the actions that we can take. And thank you also for highlighting the important work that Gagarin Project, one of the sponsors of our today's TEDxTsaghkunk, is taking on in this area. And actually, we are in this rural village of Tsaghkunk in the middle of Armenia. And this is actually one of the few villages in Armenia that you can find recycling boxes. In the schools in this area, you can find them in the community centers. So little by little, village by village, family by family, we hopefully will try to reach the eco-catharsis. Of course, it is up to each one of us to take on the responsibility to improve our lives, to improve our surroundings and our communities. And our next speaker, again, has a very inspirational story to tell about the transformation of a rural community where he, as a young teacher, as a youth empowerment enthusiast, was able to bring a big change and big difference. Unfortunately, he couldn't join us today, not because he couldn't catch up with the flights or couldn't get tickets or anything. The reason is that he's pretty close, only a couple of 100 kilometers away, but he is behind the blockade. So I invite you all to watch Ashot Gabrielian's speech on the screen. Thank you.
Have you ever heard the term kolkhoz? Can you provide a concise definition for it? Well, if we consult Britannica, a kolkhoz was essentially an agricultural cooperative endeavor run by peasants in a state-owned land in Soviet Union. Now, let's explore some synonyms for the word village. In Armenian, gyur is such synonym, but shen also fits the bill. Now, here is where the story takes a meaningful twist. Kolkhozashen, a kolkhoz village, the backdrop of the two most transformative years of my life. I'm Ashot Gabrielian, a Teach for Armenia alumni ambassador, and today I want to delve into the transformative education and community building. I applied to Teach for Armenia in 2020 after the war, and 5 months of anticipation led to the pivotal moment. I received the confirmation of my placement in a village called Kolkhozashen. Now, you can imagine my surprise, not only at the name itself, but at the realization that there is an authentic village called Kolkhozashen. Now, let's go on a remarkable journey to this village, which was once overshadowed by its past, but through resilience and creativity of its bright minds, it emerged as a symbol of empowerment, community building, and transformative education. I was entrusted with only 25 students, just a school. I taught them the fundamentals of English and social studies, but soon enough, it became evident that there is a deeper need, a need to nurture confidence in their own identities. You see, when my students introduced themselves, They proudly proclaimed that they are from Artsakh, but not one of them mentioned the name of their own village. And one day, Nana and Nari, two of my students, spilled the beans. And no, it wasn't the perfect recipe of making dolma in the village. They mentioned the brutal reality. The memories that they were bullied in a camp just because they dared to utter the name of their village, Kolkhozashen. That was the moment I knew that things has to change. I knew that these kids had to take the matters into their own hands. We launched a project that would transform not only the perception of the village itself, but also the lives of these remarkable young individuals. We called it Kolkhoz Quest, a quest game that made Kolkhozashen known for its vibrant culture and history rather than its Soviet-era name. Now picture this, 170 tourists arriving in a village that was once hidden from the world's gaze, loaded with tasks differing from milking a cow to uncovering ancient museums, visiting General Parcel's house to singing traditional Armenian songs. It was a very different adventure. Everyone learned a new thing about the village, and everyone shared the same laughter and the same mission to reconnect with roots. The impact was astonishing. While the students watched how their village came alive with the laughter of tourists, something remarkable happened. The shyness that once defined them has changed into confidence and a sense of purpose. These students became the driving force behind Kolkhoz Quest, and with each game organized, they unleashed the leadership potential inside them. But our journey didn't stop at organizing games. With the funds we collected from Kolkhoz Quest, we established a youth center. We called it Jane, a term for endearment in Kolkhozashen, symbolizing our dearest hopes and dreams for our village. Jane wasn't just a center. It was a hub of innovation where dreams met reality. Here, my students established a project incubator, and soon enough, I found myself taking a back seat. Trust me, there is nothing better than watching teenagers running social media pages, organizing workshops, and taking the lead. It's like watching a reality show. You never know what will happen next. The students organized workshops, welcomed hundreds of guests, and developed hundreds of skills. Today, I am humbled to mention that two of my students are enrolled in different international schools abroad, and four of my students are securing their places in prestigious universities in Armenia. This story is a testament to the power of youth and a reminder that our future is secure if we empower our children, instill belief in them, and make them realize they hold the key to change. And frankly, I'm just happy I got to sit back and watch their incredible journey unfold. Kolkhozashen, once an aging village with just 25 students, has become one of the most recognizable villages in Artsakh, all thanks to this incredible journey. Who would have thought that milking cows in a quest game would make such change? Speaking of quests, today is the 272nd day of our journey through a real-life quest. The blockade that isolates us not only from the visitors and tourists, but also from our families and friends. Today we are tackling some real-life quest tasks, and I'm not kidding. They range from as simple as hunting for one loaf of bread to finding inspiration amidst the adversity, from cultivating our own food to walking long distances because of the lack of transport. That's how we precisely mirror this, a real-life quest. Unlike the quest we would organize in Kolkhozashen, this blockade implies an overwhelming sense of helplessness, as if we have run out of clues and we don't know how to find them anymore. No matter how optimistic we are, how creative we are, the days turn into weeks, the weeks into months, and still, there is no end in sight of this blockade. It's a very demanding routine that drains hope and amplifies the exhaustion. Today, I implore you to remember that the people of Artsakh our creative, determined population. Yet, we are being trapped in a blockade where even a loaf of bread is a luxury. I believe that people of Artsakh, children like my students who represent our nation's future, and villages like Kolkhozashen bear an inspirational story to be told. The abundant motivation and inspiration I got from my students in Kolkhozashen still drive me through these hard times in Artsakh, and I'm sure they inspired you as well. After all, together we can overcome barriers, just like our quest game players broke down the walls of doubt and prejudice. When we invest in youth, when we empower them to believe in themselves, and when we harness their potential for change, we not only transform communities, but also pave the way for a brighter, more inclusive, and resilient future. Thank you, and remember, codes make great teammates, and quests make the best stories.
Thank you, Ashot, for being so resilient and for being so bright and for bringing up new generations with such motivation. We all hope that this blockade will end soon and we will reconnect and we will share stages, we will share journeys together for sure. Our next speaker and last speaker of TEDxTsaghkunk is in reality the person without whom none of this would have happened. Dr. Karine Sarkisyan was the one who came up with the idea to bring TEDx to this village in rural Armenia, to Tsaghkunk. She is a motivation for many of us. Actually, you remember MIF? She is the mentor of these bright kids, and not only them, they have a big group all around the world, and she is distantly mentoring them and looking into the future together with them. She wears many hats. I can keep on listing her different positions, from the managing director of the Biobank Graz and scientific director of Cancer Biobank at the Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in California. And the locations take up a wide range of geography that I can keep counting. But she is also the best host and guide you can ever dream for. She can take you to the best places for best schnitzel in the city of Graz or best underground rock bars in her native city of Vanadzor in Armenia, and then sing along some of the System of a Down songs. I'm sure we are going to get massively inspired by her speech, which is going to motivate us to be the difference, to be the key to the future. Please welcome Dr. Karine Sarkisyan.
Hi. I am a little bit emotional because of the previous talk, but I'm gonna speak anyway. I am very honored and very happy to be in this very stage. Well, it is very special to me. Although I gave over 90 keynotes in my life, I gave even 2 TED Talks, one with one of the colleagues who was already in this stage. And usually, I'm coming up with great ideas to cite. And I'm citing great minds, like I'm citing Exupery, I'm citing Einstein, Marie Curie, Parajanov, and so on. But today is a different day. I'm going to cite a person who just made the idea of this talk. This person is very important to me, and he inspired me to speak. This is my nephew, Aren. He's 14. If his mother, my lovely cousin Anna, asked him in my presence, what is your dream job? He looked at her with NN, as we learned, and told, I don't dream of labor, mother. And this moment inspired me to speak about that. And I think his reaction on to the question was the difference already. And I think that word labor was something that he didn't like. So let's speak about the wording. What is labor? From where it is coming? It means work, but something that is repetitive. And something that it is like toil or effort, but it is repetitive. So it is really not exciting. Maybe the word job. Well, its exact origin doesn't known, nobody knows, but the word could be coming from Old French like gobe, and it means lamp or mass, not mess, mass. So it's also somehow not really important. Maybe the word performance, it sounds so good. Prefix par means trolley, and finir means to furnish something, to complete something. Well, trolley complete, nah, doesn't find good. Maybe the word execution, oh my God, that sounds so bad. But nevertheless, ex means out of, and sequi means follow. So it is like follow an SOP. Not really exciting. So maybe profession, I'm a professor. So it should be something nice. It isn't. It originally meant to publicly confess or declare something. So you are publicly standing and confessing something to put you in a box. Let's find another word. That can be, for instance, employment, yeah? M is from N and mean in or into something, and Picale means to fold. So by employment, we are folding ourselves into something. It's really not nice. The word occupation should be something, oh no, to occupy. It's not really a good one. It is such a bad word. So we don't want that something possess our lives. And occupation means the work is occupying our life. So I understand why Aaron was so unhappy with. And you know, employment, job, occupation, whatever. It's actually something that it is planted into the young minds by a society to put them in a narrow place to go to somewhere. And this is really not a nice excuse and not a nice thing. So I thought, well, Aaron is not dreaming of job, but as a child, I was really dreaming of job. But it developed, and in evaluate, I have had an evaluation of a dream. So I want to take you with me to my personal profession evaluation. And the first thing was, I was 3, and I decided to become a pediatrician. Not because of I liked the story, but because of my friend got ill and couldn't make to a play date. So I decided if I become a pediatrician, no other kid will suffer and everybody can play. Well, coming from a former city, country and a city from former Soviet Union, I had very low statistical odds to become successful in anything at all. But sometimes my name is mentioned in a sentence together with successful and together with something good, and I don't know why. You know, what was my childhood? we have had electricity supply only 2 hours a day. Some even 1 hour. And in winter, it became even worse. We have had no water supply, no heating. And if I mean water, I mean people out there who are looking at this video, they will think hot water and cold water. Hot water was an object of luxury. And cold water was 1 hour maximum, or we will carry with packets. So, I mean, it was really very difficult for me to understand what I want, how I can evolve, how I can do something. But I decided to become a scientist to solve the problem with cold, with hunger, with everything. And then I thought that, especially after the recession and earthquake in Armenia, that maybe I can change the world. It doesn't last too long because I don't know why I was a kid and I changed the mind and I decided to become a rock star. You realize now that it doesn't work with me. I have not enough knowledge and possibility to be a rock star. But it was not because of the fame or the money or the music. I knew that famous rock stars and artists are becoming UNICEF ambassadors. And I wanted to become UNICEF ambassador. Hey, UNICEF, I still want. So this was the top of the thing to become that. And then I really decided to, no, it is better to become a military surgeon. I thought that if I will be a military surgeon, I will never lose any person in a war. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Well, I really became a pediatrician against all odds. My parents would not get salary over 6, 7, 8 months. And even they would get, in the shops were nothing to buy. No bread, no food, nothing. And we got per capita with some specific billets, some bread and some kerosene to heat. So in that situation, I made my way from a smaller city to Yerevan to study medicine. And my mother used to say, my daughter is the most stubborn person in this world. Well, obviously, she didn't knew my husband and my daughter at that time. But I became a pediatrician, and I was really very happy, and I started to work in pediatrics as a nutrition specialist because I wanted to feed kids with a healthy food but easy providing food. And I started work with many people and understood and realized that I need to have better communication skills and better convincing skills. And I thought if I study psychology, that would help. So I went to university again and I studied psychology. I became a psychologist. Trust me, it doesn't help. And I decided, no, I really will become a scientist. I became a scientist, and during my science career, I understood that we need to do more standardization, more structurization, and I started to structure the science, and I became a biobanker. And as a biobanker, and I am biobanker now, I was able to support large-scale, high-quality medical research, and it is so needed nowadays. By managing biobanks, I started to manage science and research infrastructures, and I became a research manager. And to intensify and to enable ethically proven biomedical research in favor of population of the whole Earth. And to support humanity, I started to implement digitalization, AI, machine learning. And from that path, I somehow went to work as futurologist. This is my build of futurologist, actually. So I'm trying to enable a better future for everybody. And very often I am asked that, why you are doing so much? That is not normal. And I'm doing something still parallelly and with open eyes and open mind of using the ideas from one to another. Because, for instance, in the first biobank, the software that we have implemented was a museum software. But it served perfectly. So if you implement from one to the other the ideas, it makes you richer, it makes you easier. Although I am in an age that I need 2 pairs of glasses, one to drive, the other to read, I am sure that this is not the end. I'm sure that I will open new ideas and I will work and have different opportunities to learn. So a natural question is coming every time. People are asking, Karine, where is the focus? Where is sustainability? And although it looks chaotic, it looks very uninteresting, but I have my focus. You know what it is? My focus is to have and to make better life on planet Earth. And with everything I do, I try to make the life in this planet better. And here is my personal, very, very specific formula to happy professional life. First, dream big. I mean really big. Try to imagine something incredibly big and go beyond 10 times. But only dreaming independently how vivid doesn't help. Because if you dream, you need to envision that. Put a contour to your dream. So build a vision. And if you have the vision, you can put that vision and try asking yourself, what is driving you to that vision? Find that spark, that emotion, that drive that is bringing you to there. And try to raise this enthusiasm with heartbeat and with emotions, with passions, and make that your mission, your purpose. And educate yourself. Because if you have a mission and purpose and you are uneducated, it will not help. And if I mean educate, I don't mean in subject matter only, although it is very important. I mean youngsters here, textbooks are important, grades, no. So learn, but learn every day a small thing at least, across the border. And if you don't learn something in one day, it is a lost day for you personally and for the whole humanity. And, which is very important, don't think of, I'm here, be open and explore the world. Look through what else is interesting, what else makes you happy. And don't be afraid of change. Change even more. Make better choices, but change. A dream job is not a fantasy. It is a possibility that is there to catch. And if you are trying to do that, imagine that you are waking up every day with overpowering excitement, knowing that you are doing every day the thing that's making you happy. Imagine the world where every person is waking up and saying, oh, thank heaven it's morning, I'm going to work. That would be great. the dream job is actually not merely a source of income, which is, although income is very good, but it is a path, a passion, a fulfillment, and it is a contribution to the society. But how discover a dream job? I mean, I can be, as you see, it can be in one day something, and in other days something else, as in my case. So that is very difficult to put together. So don't jeopardize your freedom. Your choice is anytime should be open and easy. Learn new things and read as much as you can. If I say learn new things, not from sitcoms. Learn new real things. Well, education isn't textbooks only. Education is also exploring, empowering, and about understanding of our world, its problems, its beauty, its endless possibilities, and every piece of knowledge we are gaining today is a tool to building as block and the block to make a freedom of choice tomorrow. So be open to change. And if you are open to change, you are not allowing anybody to put you in a box. And don't do it yourself too. Very important, be kind and humble. My mother would say, Karina, you should be more humble. She's saying that all the time, but I'm trying my best. And which is for me very important, work for greater good, for planet Earth, not for your ego. Don't think about what people will say. Think about what can you change for better. You know what? I truly believe that each of us has a potential to not just dream, but to live these dreams. And in doing so, be the difference in our world. So, don't ask your children what they want to be. Ask them what problem in our life they want to solve. Let's do it together.
Thank you so much. Thank you for showing the path. It's making it so visual really helps. Realizing there is place to grow and there's no need to stop no matter what happens. Do you mind sharing the closing together?
That would be nice.
So, now I think we have made the full turn with our keys to future. We've completed the first turn of TEDxTsaghkunk, bringing back the future. So let's have an applause for that. I would like to say big, huge thank you to all our guests who came and joined us today, to all our viewers online who joined our journey, this 3-4 hours together with us. And of course, I would like to thank all our amazing, fascinating speakers who took us on such an amazing learning journey. There's so much information we received today, and I think we need days and weeks to digest this information. Thank you so much for sharing. Sharing is the most important quality, I think, in this day and age. So, shall we invite all of them?
Please, come up, all the speakers.
Please. MIF, maybe up and down
Maybe
here.
the youngsters down there, because the stage is not so stable.
Stefan, Tamas, Arsen Alajanyan, Christopher Holtz, Salar. Is she here?
May I say something before that?
Yes, please.
We are all very thankful that everybody came, but we are thankful to the host, Seda. Please, applause.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we are thankful to the host, this whole DAR Foundation and Gagarin Project and Darsen, to allowing us to play this great journey.
I would like also to extend our thanks to our volunteers who have been running around sleepless nights, doing a huge work, and the organizing and creative team. Hi, Angelica, you have had your sleepless nights and you deserve this applause. The video team, Alvart, Ellen, everyone who worked with us. Guys, volunteers, come here, come join.
At least exemplary, some of you.
We did have some flaws, we did have some technical miscalculations, so we apologize for that. But this was the first one, and holding a TEDx at a 19th century venue, it came with its challenges as well. Dear Hasmik Papyan, if you would allow us to invite you to join us here as well, please. And also, again, thanks to our sponsors, Gagarin Project, DAR Foundation, Tsaghkunk Restaurant and Gulkhatun, Ani Foundation, LVL Technologies.
The organizer, Hike.
Hike and Angelica, come, both.
Can the picture,
do we have to get smaller? Is it okay? Yeah, we can do it. You can stand on a chair in the back?
Guys, get together from the edges so we can take a group